What if I told you, you and me are no different souls? Maybe the entire life is just a dream, and when we die, we wake up. What are you feeling right now? At this very moment? Can you feel your heartbeat? Can you feel the blood running through your veins, or it feels cold? Are you awake, even if it's in your dream? Have you also been through days when everything feels like nothing and nothingness brings you peace? Have you talked to yourself and wanted it to never end? In the midnight, when the world sleeps, do you also talk to your pillow? Your diary and notepad accompanying your conversation? You wanted to say so much, yet you refuse to speak, thinking that it will be the same again, maybe with something better in store. Can you feel what I want to convey? Hey everyone, this is Nitya, and I welcome you all to the first episode of Behind the Scenes of Self-Discovery. This episode is titled, What If I Told You, You and Me Are No Different Souls? But before I move on to today's topic, let me tell you that this podcast was created as a part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify. Today, I will be talking about what I think about the most when I'm alone and probably talking to myself, or maybe just sometimes talking in sleep. And I'm sure that this is something we all wonder about, no matter which walk of life we come from. So, let's get started. Tell me, do you also go in loop, round and round? This circle, of pain and pleasure, momentary happiness and sadness, sprinkles of joy coupled with lifetime of memories. This is how life goes on. Am I right? Can you and me ever think of any other way we could possibly spend our lives like? Hard to imagine, even harder to live. Now, take this four-letter word, life. So simple that it forms the very base of our existence, but so rare that its meaning hardly gets decoded exactly in the way it should be done. Of course, we have numerous dimensions that reflect the context in which we perceive it, but the rarity in execution from the thought process to actually living it is a miracle in itself. At some point in time, our life starts as a piece of flesh inside a mother's womb and dies when the parts wear out with the passage of time. But that's our biological definition of life. Our conscious life has maybe lived since the birth of this whole existence, when time itself was searching the dimension it could fit in. We as humans are conscious of every possible thing except for our very own consciousness. And this brings me to the fact that most people are not aware of their consciousness itself. You probably know the start of this loop you encircle on a daily basis, but you never know the ending. The ending that you and me so desperately seek. The ending for which the beginning happened someday, at some point in time, and then you die one day. Probably figuring out when, where, why, and how did it actually end. The wait to the end never really ended. Everyone says that life is a wandering chance, and yet most of us don't know what end is a good end. What beginnings are real beginnings? When does life actually starts and when it randomly stops? Why is it that we are born in the human realm and for what purpose? Why do we live the way we live? Is it something that will go on forever, or will this process someday come to an end? And if it happens, when? Figuring out these things is the last item in our bucket list we prepare for life's adventures. I wish we could figure out the essence of living a little earlier, maybe earlier enough to put in action that realization before we die. The deepest secret in life is that life is not just a process of self-discovery in all, but a process of creation. You are not only discovering yourself, but creating yourself anew simultaneously. Seek, therefore, not just to find out who you are, but seek to determine who you want to be. You already know that you exist. Find out the why of your existence, at least while you are alive. This journey, which I seek to embark on, is perhaps the most important question in place, yet the trail to its destination is the most complicated and hence the road less taken. The reason is simple. It's uncertain. But shouldn't we attempt what is uncertain? Certainty may come or not come along the way. Maybe the process might reveal the answers. Maybe you don't need to go that far. Who knows, you meet yourself, who is you and not an embodiment of other people's perspectives and opinions in midway itself. Vera Nazarian said, "This world is shaped by two things: the stories you tell and the memories they leave behind." Doesn't this sum up why you and me and each one of us need to be conscious of why we need to know ourselves and our existence? Love ourselves the way we are and what we want from life. I am who I am, with all my faults and mistakes. I have come here to love myself for who I am, for who I was, and for who I want to be. I urge you to remember this iconic quote by RM, not just for yourself, but for the generations to come. The depth of these lines hits differently each time I listen to it, and it kind of nourishes my inner child so gently, like it makes me feel complete in myself. And accepting this fact has made me love myself so much more. Stay true to who you are. The best thing you can learn is how to comfortably belong to yourself. This calls for a great heap of self-love. Feel the love that you have for you and allow it to light up your heart. Treat yourself with kindness, respect, and admiration. When you're deeply committed to loving yourself, you make choices that uphold the special qualities that are inherently yours. BTS reminds us, don't disappear because you are one great existence. Even if nobody recognizes you as who you are and what you want to be, you must recognize yourself. So before I take leave, here's your daily reminder from behind the scenes of self-discovery. Your life is a book you offer other human beings to read, either by the words you speak or by the actions you perform. You will definitely make mistakes, but that shall serve as the guiding path to the people reading your life, and your success shall fill them with hope to achieve their aspirations. Make sure the book you're writing is not just confined to yourself, for that shall take birth and die with your existence. Write it to enlighten your fellow beings. The size and context of your experiences will never matter as long as your inner consciousness, to act as an illuminating ray of hope, continues to exist. You must never forget that your life is a story you will tell yourself, and make sure that at least for you it's worth telling.